Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it rain.
Hey guys, that was kind of perfect timing. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome into tonight's live. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you guys are having a great Tuesday. It is August the 19th. I feel like today is a special, there's a special occasion or something today. I don't remember. But if it's someone's anniversary or something, happy anniversary. I feel like it's my brother's, but I think that was the other day. So thank you, Mary Beth. I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate that. I try to make myself look a little nice for you guys, you know? Don't want to come on here looking too slobbish, but hey, you know, there may be a day I do. You never know. I just got done steaming Vincent's clothes for tomorrow and didn't realize that I didn't realize he had stuff to do tomorrow. And I was like, oh, that's tomorrow. We went and got our flu shots tonight. We are on it. If you have not gotten your flu shot yet, make sure you do. So if you see me like doing this with my arm, it's just me making sure it doesn't get, you know, sore. So how's everybody doing? I saw we have the mods in here. We got members. Hey, Kira. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Ladybug. Hey, Dawn. Welcome in, everybody. It's good to see everybody. Hey, Rhonda. I am having a great week. So far, so good. And wait, did I see Willow's? Was Willow's in here? No. I want to make sure Willow's cat is okay. I've been thinking about that kitty. Hey, Mary Beth. Hey, happy mom. Oh, doing your nails. See, I wish I could do my nails. I'm not talented. If it's something girly, I'm not the one to do it. I'm really not. Unless it's something easy I can learn, you know, which isn't, I'm not good at anything really. That has to do with like being girly, like, you know, the hair, like curling your hair. I'm not good at that. I do heatless curls. I'm not really good at makeup. I do a little bit here and there for you guys, but I'm not like pro at it. Hey, Wolf, the sun is powerful where you are. Yeah, I bet it is, Mary Beth. You live out in the West. Well, it's good to see everybody. If you guys don't mind, just take a second, maybe hit the like button for me. We're going to read some documents tonight, and we're going into the people that knew Brian Kohberger. So these are going to be really interesting to read. And thank you, Ladybug, for the super chat. That's so nice. Thank you. My throat is a little sore for some reason. You ain't going to get me sick. I went got my flu shot. I better not, knock on wood. Like, seriously, I would be like so sad. Hey, Christy. Hey, Kara. Oh, I thought the last name was Christy Smith too. I was like, Kara Smith. I went, wow, but it wasn't. Oh, wonder if these will no, it won't let me. I thought it would let me. Hey, baby girl. Welcome in. Hey, Pete. I think I'm getting down to the bottom. So Malinaku. I don't know how to say that, but I'm sure it's very pretty. And hello. I really tried. I'm really bad with the names, you guys know. But it's probably because my name is so, the spelling is so weird. But if you don't know who I am, hello, Caught Up in Crime and Michelle. My name is Tanya, or TitaniumBuilt. You can call me either or. It's right there on the screen for you too, if you forget. Hey, Nicole. I got food poisoning. Oh, gosh. Oh, I hope you feel better. Oh, my. Oh. Hey, Triple L. Hey, Jet Set. Thank you. I appreciate that. No flu shot, thank you. Well, the reason why I do, right? There's a reason. So I never did until I was 28. And my mother asked me out of the blue, Tanya, did you get your flu shot this year? And I said, well, Cindy. No, just kidding. I never said that. But I was like, Mom, what do you mean? Like flu shot? I've never gotten a flu shot. I've never gotten the flu. And she was like, oh. And that's all she said. And I was like, I'll be back. And I went and I got my flu shot, and I've gotten it every year since, because I know the one time I don't get it, I will get the flu. I'll get it because mothers are always right. That's what I think of. So, hey, Rocky Mountain Eyes. I like that name. And I like the flowers. Hey, Angel, welcome in. I thought I was getting down to the bottom, but I was just like, just kidding. The dogs just came in, so I was kind of waiting on them anyway. Hey, Simple Southern Mama. Okay. Oh, really? Caught Up in Crime. See, that's the way you spell it. That's just the way it needs to be. My gym teacher, I think I told you guys this. 12 years I knew him. Never pronounced it right. Like, for the love of God, just pronounce my name right. I mean, it's fine. I know that my mom was being difficult, and my dad. I know that my brother, they named him first 9 years before me. And he was Tony for short. So she didn't want the names to be like two together, like look like they were together. I don't know. So she spelled it Tanya. She said it was off of one of those soap operas. I'm not sure. Mary Beth, extensions will change your life. Thanks, Kara. I think it is too, but it wasn't where I grew up. But where I live now, totally don't get Tanya at all. I get Tanya every time. I'm like, where am I? An alternate universe? But I go to my hometown where everyone knows me. So call me that again. Just kidding. That would be funny. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get into the documents. Like I said, these are going to be they're from ISP, Idaho State Police. We've been reading through, there's 556 pages, and we don't want to miss a thing. So we're reading through all of them. And the ones that we're, skimming through, I skimmed through a few of them. Those are just stuff that wasn't related at all. But for the most part, we've really read through all of these documents. So these are going to be pertaining to Brian Kohberger and people that knew him, inside of like this WSU from the school, or from maybe like a party that he was at. We're going to hear from people at that pool party, but it's going to be, I don't know, the stories are a little different, but we will hear from the girl that was at the pool party. He texted the next day, remember, on Dateline, and said that he likes hiking. It's like he likes that activity very much, or something like that. It's word for word what they said on Dateline. I was like, oh, that one must have been true, because there was a leak, but we don't know who the leak was. So it's kind of entertaining, and it's kind of like, oh, when you see that. So, and some of these are just not these ones, but some of the ones we were reading earlier, they were just, to me, some of them were just ridiculous. They were pretty funny, actually. Hey, DM. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Christy. Aw. Maybe I'm your boss. You just don't know it. I'm in disguise. Hey, Sherry. I was a boss, actually, at one time. Now I'm a owner. I'm a boss of myself, and I'm the worst employee. So this is going to be for November 6th. And basically, this says that the Victimology team was responsible for understanding the relationship, social goals, private lives of the victims, survivors, and the connection to the suspect or to a suspect. And then it says here that on January 3rd, ISP Detective Sergeant Gilbertson assigned me the additional investigative duty of coordinating the priority of investigation, tips related to suspect Brian C. Kohberger. And it's Kohberger. The coordination of tips, including prioritizing interviews of people associated to Kohberger. So here we go. Okay. First up on the chopping block. Just kidding. This person doesn't say their date or anything. Date of birth, administrative information, witness. There it is. She's 43. And then they had an interview with her, and it's all redacted, like what she does, who she is, but she's somebody from WSU. So the interview was conducted, and the interview was recorded with the person's knowledge and permission. So this person told the cops that they had had contact with Brian Kohberger because Kohberger was a student seeking a criminal justice doctorate at WSU. They had met several times to discuss requirements for Kohberger's doctorate studies. They also met twice in social settings, once at a barbecue. That was for the, I think it was for like the new students. Oh yeah, for the new students, and a holiday Christmas event at the college. So apparently he went to things. I mean, like social events. So this person described Kohberger as socially awkward around people. He did not see any other behavior that he thought was odd, but did tell us that Kohberger was removed from, and I don't know what that is, or if that's, when he was removed from the school, but it says because of his rudeness and unprofessional behavior towards other students and college professors. So, man, that's bad. When was this? January 6th. Okay. I mean, he wasn't even there for the whole semester. The semester was ending and he wasn't even there for finals. I don't even know if he turned in a final paper. So this person suggested that they talk to some other people about the complaints others had brought against Kohberger. And then it says, I transferred the record interview to a compact disc. And then it says, I misquoted the date. So, it's January 9th, 2023. What did I say? January 6th. Okay. This was January 9th, actually. Case continues, it says there. I read through these, but I just want to make sure I'm telling you all the right info. So this is someone, and they're going to tell, the officers about her interactions with Brian Kohberger. The interview took place in Pullman, Washington. This person is 43, female. On January 9th. Okay, sorry. They went and talked to her. So let's see. So redacted. In connection with her knowledge and interactions with Brian Kohberger, the interview took place in Pullman, Washington. Also present during the interview was Washington State Assistant Attorney, General Adam Malcolm. So prior to the start of the interview, this person confirmed she was happy for the interview to be recorded. This recording was subsequently downloaded to a CD and provided to the Moscow Police Department evidence section. She is employed in this Wright State University. She has held this position for approximately so many years. During the normal course of her duties, she regularly interacted with Kohberger. This occurred during new student course orientation, course functions, and other course-related activities. Additionally, Kohberger was present during an early semester student meet and greet barbecue. So her position also requires she interacts with students to discuss course options and any issues students may have. This includes student interactions with faculty members and other students. As a result, she is a respiratory for complaints made by students. She probably heard a lot. She described her initially, it's supposed to be initial interactions with Kohberger as ordinary, noting he came across as lonely. She is also from Kohberger's home state of Pennsylvania, and Kohberger would strike up conversations about hiking in the local area. Oh, it looks like, it's a reporting officer. For some reason, I thought that said professor, but it says professor. So as weeks progressed, Kohberger would hang out in the hallways and her office. She described Kohberger as creepy, and he would simply stand at her desk and stare at her or her coworker. At one stage, blocking the coworker in her desk area. Oh, hell no. I don't like my personal areas to be messed with. Just to let anyone, if you ever meet me, there is a personal space thing. That's the thing. I hate when people are in my personal space. It makes me so uncomfortable. He would also follow them out to their cars at the end of the day. Oh, maybe he was just trying to be a gentleman, you know? I'm being sarcastic if you can't see my face. He continued behavior resulted in this person arranging to meet at 1700 hours after work to escort them to their cars. So it got to the point where they had to get somebody else involved for them to walk them to their cars. That's pretty serious. She said complaints from faculty members, administration staff, and other students was referred to and it's redacted. These complaints referenced his rude and belittling behavior towards women and his unprofessional rude dealings with his redacted. This resulted in a mandatory training class for all graduate students regarding behavior expectations. So because Brian fudged up the whole class, I had to take the training. Mandatory training class for all graduate students. They were probably loving that. She said during Kohberger's attendance at this class, he sat at the back with his hands behind his head staring at the ceiling. Like the I don't give a fudge, I do not want to be here pose. I mean, you gotta be kidding. If that was me, I would have been like, you are the reason why all these kids are here. So I would have been, that's why I'm not a professor. She said in total, 9 complaints had been filed against Kohberger. 9. He wasn't even there 9 months. When did he get there? In May? June, July, August, September, October, November. 6 months and he killed people. 7 months and he was caught. 9 complaints. You know, that case continues, it says right there. So, wow. So this is about a pool party that happened July 9th, 2022 in Moscow. So January 9th at approximately 12:15, they interviewed this person, date of birth 1995, so a year after Kohberger. The interview took place in Pullman, Washington. And then the interview is referenced to meeting Brian C. Kohberger at a pool party in July 2022. This person says she was not associated with Kohberger at WSU, but she's employed by them, I think. She met Kohberger at a pool party on July 9th, 2022. The pool party occurred at this redacted location located near the University of Idaho campus. When she met Kohberger, they had a brief conversation about hiking interest in the area. She told Kohberger she had a hiking group she could introduce him to, and the two exchanged phone numbers. She could not recall if Kohberger was drinking at the pool party. Nothing in particular stood out about Kohberger. After the homicides, she searched her phone, remembering Kohberger had sent her a text. The text was as follows. Hey, I'm pretty sure we spoke about hiking trips yesterday. I really enjoy that activity, so please let me know. Thanks. This person believed an individual named Redacted invited Kohberger to the pool party. I think that was a Christian guy, wasn't it, Martinez? Pretty sure. Pretty sure it was Christian that invited him. I'm sure he's in here too somewhere. So this is another, interview with someone that knows Brian. And there's an interview and it says she was a graduate student, and it's working, and that she doesn't have it doesn't say, it's all redacted. She was a fellow colleague of Kohberger and had a redacted to his, I'm assuming, office, maybe. She was also working on a project with Kohberger in a limited capacity. The project was a part of the Division of Governmental Studies and Services. She had limited interactions with Kohberger while working with the DGSS. One interaction was on a Zoom call. The other was a follow-up question concerning the project. Can you imagine him on a Zoom call? Oh no, I don't know. I just think it's kind of I don't know. I'm quiet too whenever I first get around people, but he's just super, just he can get into his own head and just stay there. You know what I mean? There's just something off. So she first met Kohberger in August in her office. 2 other graduate students were present. He told her he was from Pennsylvania and he enjoyed hiking. They also spoke about his field of study, offender decision-making. He was particularly interested in how emotion played a role in how offenders make decisions. Throughout the semester, she would routinely discuss criminal justice topics with Kohberger. They discussed the use of alcohol and the effects of marijuana on society. He told her he was not a drinker and did not understand why people drank. People drink because it's fun to get drunk sometimes. I don't know. Coming from a non-drinker. She said Kohberger really liked to discuss research and he liked to dominate the conversations. She described him standing in the doorway and hovering. She never felt uncomfortable around him. He had a macho demeanor about him and would appear to be puffed up. The only thing she felt was off about Kohberger was his intense stare. He would intensely stare at people even when he wasn't having a conversation with that person. She described having a conversation with him in her office. She tried to end and he would not stop talking. She told him she was leaving because she wanted to avoid getting a parking violation. She walked out and he continued to talk to her while she was walking to her car. She did not have any relationship with him outside of school. She could not recall seeing him much after the homicides. She was aware of an issue he had with somebody, and the name's redacted. He was perceived by female classmates as dominant and disrespectful to female instructors. High school, trade school, colleges. Dude, you got a problem with women, man. Got a problem with them. You don't want women to be intelligent. You don't want us to be smart. You do not want us to be able to dominate that conversation. You do not want us to be able to debate you. You don't want none of that. If I was a woman and I wanted to get your attention in jail, I would probably write you as a male, to be truthful. I wouldn't even say I was a woman. I'd have somebody else write it that's a male, because you wouldn't even talk to a woman probably. I don't even think you'll give Catherine Ramsland an interview. I want to see who he gives it to. Bet it's a dude. Or it'll be a woman that he feels like he can control. He did with Anne. I felt like he thought he was in control there, but I don't think he really was at all. So she could not relate any instances. Oh, wait, hold on. I missed a spot. She was aware of an issue that he had. He perceived female classmates as dominant and disrespectful to female instructors. At one point, Redacted had come into her office crying because of a classroom discussion Kohberger was having with her. His behavior could be described as probably sexist. He really did not like to be interrupted. She could not relate any instances where empathy would have been used during their conversation. She did say he seemed very uptight and serious. He wanted to come off as intelligent. Did he come off as intelligent? I wonder. Because in that courtroom, he didn't. Her understanding was Kohberger wanted to continue in academia and possibly become a professor. Can you imagine? Seriously, that's scary. And you know what? I think I forgot to, I forgot to put the channel membership up at the top. I'm just going to pin it real quick. If it'll go through. Oh, it's because oh my goodness. I'm on okay, if you're on top chat, make sure you're on all chat. I'm really bad about that. And that it just came through twice. So sorry, guys. So She did recall other staff pulled her aside and made her aware of a possible issue with him stalking another member of the staff. An incident took place where he asked out the other staff member and had followed that individual outside to her car. A report was filed with the Office of Civil Rights. Redacted, he asked out was, and the name's redacted. She was shocked by the homicides. In her hindsight, the homicide may have taken place because he had been rejected by someone. She had no knowledge of Kohberger talking about the homicides, and then they concluded the interview there. So we have another one, and another one, and another one. This person's 22. This interview took place in Moscow at the police department. So this person contacted the Moscow homicide tip line to report she had observed Kohberger with bloody knuckles. That's prior to the homicide. She saw the knuckles just prior to the homicides. Maybe overwashing his hands. I mean, they're red. I don't know. I need to call my brother. Keep forgetting. I know that his hands were never that red. And he had an obsession with washing his hands. I'm thinking maybe it's the jail soap. Wait a second. Hold on a second. Where's that one picture? When he was first arrested and he's sitting down. Doesn't he have his hands, like you can see his hands there? I put in like a arrest picture. There it is. Oh, you can't see his hands. Oh, that's so close. Oops. But you can like oops, I didn't mean to do that. You can in that one. Okay. I'll show you the picture I was looking for. I was looking for this picture, but look. But his hands are red. Look at that. You can see it on his arms. Right here. Can you see that? So they were red. And in that picture too, when he graduated, they were purple. So I'm thinking he hit something, right? Because like he was a boxer at one point, but I don't know if you can see it. Get me out of the way. Hold on. I should blow it up. But I don't know if you can see that, but it is red down there. Let me see if I can do something about that. I hate MacBook trackpads. I really do. I swear they don't work very good for me. Okay, that's all I can go. But it's like right under the office, the county, and then look at that. Like where it says office and then county, Latah County. Like he definitely was overwashing his hands. Maybe he did get biologicals on them, and then he wanted to, keep them clean because he was trying to get something off of them that was not going to come off. And that's just the smell of death, and he created that. So hope he lives a long, long life in prison thinking about it. Okay. So this person reported bloody knuckles prior to the homicides. The hands looked really beat up, like he was hitting something. I think he was just probably washing something. That's true, actually, but I don't know. That is true, but damn, that's just crazy. For them to be that, like sometimes they're purple, sometimes they're red. I'm wondering if it's harsh soap and he has sensitive skin or something, and he's using that harsh soap. I was going to get a hold of someone that I know that's a corrections officer too and ask them what they use in their prisons just as a, just to see what they said. But I'll do that tomorrow. Let me write that down. Okay. And then let me just write soap so I know what I'm going to write them about. And then I'll let you know. So she recalled Kohberger talking constantly during one of their classes. He would pick fights with other classmates. She described an argument where this other person left the class upset. She had heard he had an incident with the female professor where Kohberger disagreed with the grade he had been given. Kohberger went to a male professor to complain about the grade. The female professor, why does it say was, and it's nothing, was, okay, that's weird. This is one of two. This says 6. So okay, they have some graphical errors. I don't know why it says that the female professor was, and she says right here it says she described Kohberger as weird, but he had never threatened her. In one instance, after class, Kohberger and her were alone. When she was trying to leave the classroom, he blocked her exit. Oh, that's scary. I don't care who you are. I don't. He's like 6 foot. He's a pretty tall dude. I mean, a lot of women are shorter than me. I'm 5'8". She described him blocking her with his physical stance. Kohberger said they should meet up sometime and talk about her professional career. She felt like he just wanted to keep the discussion going, even though class was over. After the homicides, Kohberger stopped bringing a cell phone to class and started bringing a laptop. She never saw Kohberger using the laptop. Prior to the homicide, she noticed him always using his phone. Because he was very studious, she believed he would take notes on the phone. She described a change in his appearance after the homicides. He would normally be clean-shaven and neatly dressed. After the homicides, he would come to class with facial hair and his dress would be disheveled. He also started wearing a thick blue coat that he never took off during a 3-hour class. The weather did not really call for a heavy coat. She described Kohberger engaging regularly in classroom discussions. After the homicides, the topic was discussed during class. She thought it was odd that Kohberger never participated in the discussions about the Moscow homicides. Okay, guess I never talked about it. Kohberger continued to engage in other discussions and appeared to be more cheerful. She did not know anything about Kohberger outside of class. Do you think he was more cheerful because he's like, I have a secret and you guys don't know? Like I'm sitting in a classroom full of people and nobody knows that I just murdered 4, kids in their sleep, basically. That could be why he was freaking smiling and being cheery. She did not know anything about Kohberger outside of class. Kohberger was always playing the devil's advocate in class. During the semester, students were required to read 4 books. The 3rd book they were required to read was a book about DNA evidence. She recalled Kohberger being heavily involved in the discussions about the book in class. Sorry. He probably was. He's probably like, I screwed myself. How bad did I screw myself? Kohberger was at a department bar outing at a downtown bar in Pullman, Washington. The outing occurred in October. Kohberger purchased a bottle of wine and drank the entire bottle. That's only 4 glasses of wine. Come on now. I mean, really, it is. She was aware. I mean, was he drinking it out of a glass at least? If he was drinking out of the bottle, maybe not so much. But I mean, if he was being a little classier, drinking it out of a cup, drank the entire bottle. I don't know. They're just to me like, I don't know. It's only 4 glasses of wine. She was aware of a running tally some of the female students had. The tally tracked his tardiness to female instructor-led classes versus male instructor-led classes. Oh, they're so good. The tally showed he was constantly late to female instructor classes and never late to male instructor classes. Yeah, you're that person, aren't you? She was not aware of other redacted requesting escorts out of the building because they feared Kohberger. At approximately 3:25 p.m., the interview ended. Okay. Sorry, my throat hurts a little. So let's see. Okay, this is going to be somebody that lived near the King Road home that they interviewed. Okay. An email tip had been sent to Moscow Police Department requesting detectives investigate the whereabouts of a subject most likely to be redacted on November 12th and 13th, 2022, due to his lengthy behavior issues and is living within close proximity to the 1122 King Road address. Moscow officers were able to provide information regarding redacted, including his current employer. That person agreed to sit down to an interview at 1200 hours. The interview was audio recorded. This person did not know anything about the homicides on November 13th, 2022, and they said he did not know any of the victims. This person had not heard anything around town and was only familiar with the case based on what has been released on the news. This person confirmed that he lived on Redacted near the area where the homicides occurred. He said he was at the church. He was at church during the evening hours of November 12th, 2022 until 2200 hours following activity night at the church. Man, see, that maybe Brian could have used that. Redacted from the church returned to his apartment where he remained until going to the Redacted Center on November 13th at 1200 hours. He was alone at his apartment. He works on computers and watches movies while at his apartment. He initially heard about the homicide at work. He did not hear or see anything unusual on November 12th near his apartment. He seemed truly concerned about the homicides and wished he had more information. He said he does not spend time around the Greek community. He worked Tuesday through Fridays from 9:30 hours until close. And this person has a history degree from the University of Idaho, but has not been involved with the university recently. So then we'll go down here. This is with Brian again, maybe. Oh no, it wasn't. It's not. So this person they were talked to at their apartment. And it says officers as a suspect in Redacted 2022 incident in which he verbally threatened female University of Idaho students on a sidewalk. At 12:40 hours, I located this person at his apartment and he agreed to come out and speak to me. The interview was not audio recorded. Why the hell not? He said he was at work until 23:30 hours on 2022. He met with his girlfriend at John Alley's bar. He was unsure of times in the early morning hours after leaving the bar, but confirmed a Moscow Police Department officer gave him Redacted and him a ride, maybe his girlfriend or something, to his apartment due to her amount of intoxication. That is an awesome police officer right there. That's like old school police officer. You know what I mean? Like, just get in the car. Just let me get you home safe, right? I love that. Okay. So Redacted walked home from Redacted's apartment and remained in his apartment, waking up at 1300 or 1400 hours on November 13th, 2022. This person said that he was in the apartment. This person said this other person was in the apartment with him and he was still there sleeping when he left in the afternoon hours on November 13th, 2022. This person said he had not learned of the homicides from the news, or he did. He learned of the homicide from the news and others in the area. This person did not know the victims and did not spend time with the college students. This person removed his sweatshirt, showing me his arms and neck, and there were no marks on his arms, neck, or face. So this was reported. I'm trying to see the reported date. So reported 11/23/2022. This was reported early. Okay, so okay, November 23rd, 2022, the Idaho State Police Detective Leslie Lehman retrieved DNA swabs collected by the Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office. This is the person I think from 1983. I think that's the person that we read about earlier with the car, right? I don't know. We're going to just read through. The swabs were collected by pathologist Sean Ricardo during Redacted autopsy due to Redacted unusual behavior leading up to his death. Ricardo and his staff felt it necessary to secure his DNA sample and provide it for Moscow homicide. Yeah, that's the same. I think that's the same guy. Yeah. Okay, and then they entered it into evidence. When I was reading that earlier, I must have skipped that one or something. Okay, let me go back up. Do we miss them? This is reported a tip as a person who knew Ethan Chapin, and it was described as odd. Okay, let's see. So December 7th. Okay, this person was interviewed in continuation of the homicide investigation in Moscow, Idaho. This person's name was reported via the tip program as a person who knew Ethan Chapin and was described as odd. They called this person who agreed to come to ISP to be interviewed. He said he was no longer attending University of Idaho as he was preparing to leave North Idaho to join the Navy. He confirmed his current address, Ratham, Idaho. His roommate was he was roommates with redacted and redacted, who was redacted. Okay. Reporting the unresponsive person. Oh, shit. Okay. So it looks like he was roommates with maybe Hunter. It says reporting the unresponsive persons at 1122 King Street on November 13th. Redacted said he spent a great deal of time at the apartment at 1122 King Road. Redacted said he and Redacted and a couple other people are close friends with victims Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin. He said there are many members of the U of I Greek community who spent time at 1122 King Road, eating and partying. He said the apartment was frequented by Redacted and Redacted. So he was a member of probably one of the fraternities, but he had dropped during the first week of this year. He was still active in the Greek groups. So he lived at, and it's redacted in Moscow, but it looks like a few people had gone to Mexico following the murders and was now in Boise. Those two of those people were still residing at the apartment in Moscow. On November 12th, 2022, he said he was staying in Redacted with his father so he could purchase a new phone. He went back to Moscow on November 13th, driven by his father. He arrived back at his apartment at 0800 hours. The early drive to Moscow was not unusual for his father due to his work schedule. He says he and his father bought groceries and was dropped off. He spent the morning catching up with redacted boyfriend, redacted. The group was saying goodbye and who was leaving at 1100 hours to transfer to Boise for graduate school. Okay. He said he was hanging out on the couch when Redacted said he was going to check on, it's all Redacted, and their apartment, and that's 1122 King Road. So they all, it looks like maybe 3 people left. And they went with him to the King Road apartment. He did not know why he was going to check on them and was not told who asked to go to the apartment. Shortly after they all left, the police activity in the area began. He last saw Kernodle approximately 3 days prior to November 13th, 2022 there's an apartment, confirming he left for Redacted on Wednesday prior to the murders. He saw Chapin the same day as Kernodle and also played internet video games, Apex Legends with Chapin and someone else on November 12th, 2022 at approximately 1830 hours before everyone went out. He considers himself an acquaintance of Madison Mogan and Kaylee Gonzalez and did not know them very well. He does not think he is on social media with any of the victims, but would be in pictures of a trip to Priest Lake with Chapin. He was in the 1122 King Road apartment in the early part of the week of the 7th of November. He has been in several of the rooms within the apartment. He texted Chapin after he learned of reports of an incident at 1122, but did not have any communication with any of the victims in the 48 hours leading up to the homicides. He could not speak to any knowledge of the victims feeling unsafe. He said there were fist fights in his apartment complex and in the parking lot. He has witnessed 2 of the fights. Redacted was involved in one in which an unknown male walked into his apartment and punched him in the face. They are wild and out there in Idaho. Other people with the male broke up the fight. Redacted said the fight was in September. He has never seen the unknown male or his friends in the area again. He said he kept the door of his apartment locked due to the amount of drunk people around the area. He said he knew most of the people that lived in the area of 1122 King Road and cannot think of anyone who would commit the murders. He knew the backsliding door of 1122 King Road is always left unlocked, and many people are aware of that. So Redacted is friends with these other people that are redacted. So it's Bethany and Dylan. So Dylan and Bethany, the surviving roommates at 1122 King Road, and usually hung out with them in a group of friends. He volunteered DNA samples, and I secured the buccal swabs. Yeah, he's like, I'll take that. And then he put all that on a disc, gave it to the Moscow police. I think the ISP has the best records so far. Like, they're just very in order. Okay. So someone went on a rant, I guess. So that's on December 27th, 2022. ISP Detective Leslie Lehman received a phone call from Officer Jeremy Loynan I'm probably saying that wrong, with the Rochester Police Department, Rochester, Minnesota. The officer passed along information in writing received from redacted, date of birth 1946. How my goodness, that's an older woman, older lady. What was she doing? A resident of redacted. She sent a lengthy written rant to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, which was intercepted by Officer, I don't know how to say his last name. He was concerned about the rant and proximity to Moscow, Idaho on November 12th and 13th. I don't think this person could do that, but you never know. So they emailed a copy of the writing. The body of the text was mostly incoherent. Officer Loyanin said the totality of the writing has over 100 pages and seemed to be written as dated entries like a diary. So he was able to contact this person by phone. The phone interview was audio recorded. Oh, I'd love to read that or hear that. Redacted knew I was calling regarding the documents he sent. Oh, it's a guy. He sent to Rochester Mayo Clinic. He confirmed he sends documents to many government entities, attorneys, and law enforcement agencies. He seemed to have concerns or delusions regarding electronic devices. He was unable to maintain the conversation, and his speech was clear and he was able to maintain the conversation, and his speech was clear and understandable. He said he delivered documents to the ISP Coeur d'Alene office in October of 2022. No further action was taken. The recording of the phone interview and the emails were attached. Okay. And they were saved. Just a little crazy old man, He's fine. No, she didn't write again, did she, Ashley? She wrote something. Oh, good God. Well, I know her attorney freaking quit already. She can't keep one to save her damn soul. Sorry, on a rant by Sarah Boone. I got to read it. At least her penmanship is like so nice and pretty. I mean, I will give her that. She has the best handwriting ever. She can make a flyer out of just a gel piece of paper and a pencil, man. Just give her a yellow number 2 and she's good to go. She'll chew it herself to sharpen it. She doesn't even need a sharpener. So I think this is when they were canvassing again. It says here, on November 16th, Idaho State Police detective responded to Moscow Police Department to assist with the investigation of a quadruple homicide, which occurred on November 13th, 2022 at 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. He called someone to speak with him who agreed to put in a request out to the businesses in Moscow requesting video surveillance from the evening of November 12th into the morning of November 13th, 2022. The request was made via a newsletter. On November 19th, I spoke via telephone with this person. She said she had already spoken to Moscow police regarding the homicide and said her center did not have a record of any of the homicide victims visiting her staff. She agreed to check with both her staff and the redacted regarding reports of stalkers that may have been reported. Okay. On November 19th, Trooper Christy Noah and I canvassed the residential area of Conestoga Street. I think it's Conestoga Drive. It is. It's Conestoga Drive. I'm pretty sure. I'm just going to look it up. Okay, Drive. Yeah, it is Drive. Yeah, I can see Walnut right there too. Okay, that's fine, Just over here correcting stuff, as we're going through the article. So Colt Road, Cayuse Drive? I don't even know it. Okay, Pinto Drive and Appaloosa Drive, a road. Homeowners who had cameras facing the roadway were met with and confirmed they had reviewed footage from November 12th and 13th and could not locate any vehicles due to the cameras not activating. Because you have to be in a certain, you have to be in front of the camera pretty much, right in front of it for it to activate. So they left and Appaloosa Road. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. A business card, as I could see his camera system from the front walkway of his house. He forwarded me an email confirming his review of footage and said there were no vehicles located during the time frame requested. Man, during my canvas, I met this person. He did on Conestoga Road or Conestoga Drive. This is not a street, and I think he spelled it wrong too. He was in his driveway on November 13th, 2022, between 0400 and 0500 hours working on a vehicle. He recalled seeing a dark, larger SUV southbound on Conestoga Drive at approximately 0400 hours. He called me on December 16th, 2022, and left a message reiterating witnessing the SUV. Emails exchanged with this person and the message left by another person were placed on a disk and given to Moscow Police Department. Oh, this is a big one. Okay. So from November 16th, 2022 through January 7th, 2023, I conducted telephone triage interviews with people associated to the victim and survivors of the quadruple murder in Moscow, Latah County, Idaho. The triage telephone interview determined the extent of information the person possessed and if an in-person interview should be conducted. The following is a summary. On December 7th, I telephoned Redacted. They claim she knows victim Ethan Chapin and others and was present at the secret party, with her best friend. She believed Ethan wasn't acting like himself and keeping to himself. She Redacted. She later stated she may have mistaken the identity of the person she believed was Ethan. She provided via email a vague video from the party. No evidentiary value was obtained in the video. The provided video is added to evidence data of this report. On December 14th, I telephonically interviewed. Redacted explained she has known Kaylee from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Although this person was a couple years ahead of Kaylee in school, they were friends. She was in the sorority, I think, with Kaylee. So Redacted has worked for Redacted for the last couple years, and at the beginning of 2022 school year, helped Kaylee obtain an internship with the job that she was with. It's a small company, and during Kaylee's internship, she worked with several elements of the company: sales, marketing, etc. They give the name of her boss, who is based out of Canada. Kaylee was in the pipeline for a full-time position, but the official offer had not yet been presented. It was known to Redacted that Kaylee would be moving to Austin, Texas, and working for the company based out of Texas. Redacted had not had regular or routine contact with Kaylee, but they did periodically talk over the past couple of years. She was unaware of any issues related to Kaylee or the murders. On December 15th, he spoke with another person. This person facilitated victim Kaylee Gonzalez's knowledge about salary negotiations, but did not directly negotiate her salary with Redacted. This person believed Kaylee was in a full-time paid intern program and being paid $20 to $27 per hour. She leaned towards the $27 per hour. During mid-December 2022, I telephoned this person, who's Redacted, and it says had graduate college and currently lives in Tacoma, Washington. She is a close friend to Madison, Xana, and Kaylee. Her boyfriend is Redacted in there. It says this person is close to Redacted. Okay. She believes this person is a violent person and provided her version of an incident at a Halloween party when Redacted was making rude comments about other people and close friends corrected him. Okay. Her boyfriend stepped in and was struck by this person. This person then grabbed this other person by the hair and threw her to the ground. They later reconciled the differences. It was rumored that these two people had hooked up in a sexual relationship. She feels this person objectifies women and is a violent person. Okay. Not Brian Kohberger, though. On December 16th, I received a tip from Latah County Sheriff Richie Skillies. I telephoned him and discussed the tip and the source. The tip stated Redacted, a former Redacted department, could be responsible for the quadruple murder. I conducted follow-up with Moscow Police Department and obtained telephone information from the MPD. This person who had maintained communications with Redacted had moved to all Redacted prior to the murders, and telephone communications confirmed travels and location. So December 21st, 2022, telephoned a couple people, and they were friends with victims Ethan Chapin and Xana Kronodal. This person knew victims Kaylee Gonzalez as a previous neighbor, but were never close. She did not have any contact or relationship with victim Madison Mogan or the surviving roommates, Dylan or Bethany. This person recalled Ethan was always being the funny guy in the room, and Xana knew and was liked by everyone. This person had attended the secret party and had ran into both Ethan and Xana, and they were both in good spirits. She believed Ethan's best friends were, and she has their names redacted, but believed Xana's best friends were Redacted. And this person had never been to the 1122 King Road address. So she doesn't know anyone who would want to hurt the victims. So then we go to December 29th, 2022, and they contact someone else. This person stated she had 2 children who attended Washington State University and were at the house the night prior to the murders. Redacted would not put me in touch with her children. I'm sorry. I started reading that and I immediately thought of Kim. WSU mom Kim. I don't know why. I just did. I'm having flashbacks. But oh my good golly. I'm going to say this is her. It says she stated she has 2 children who attend Washington State University and were at the house the night prior to the murders. Redacted would not put me in touch with her children, nor would she provide their full names. The primary communications with Redacted were collected via text messages, which were downloaded and entered into evidence data of this report. I mean, I feel like that's her. I don't know why I just started reading that. I immediately thought her. That sounds like her. WSU mom Kim. The one that said Xana's head was taken off. Yeah. I got that email still that she sent out. She sent it to T-Rev and he put it out for everybody. And I was like, well, I'm going to screenshot that right now. Because I was going to keep it for the end of this case. Just to go over it. So an informal in-person interview of someone with an H. The first person on scene of the murders. Oh, okay. Was conducted at Moscow Police Department in late December 2022. This person expressed concern for repeated media inquiries and online threats. Okay. I don't know. I feel like her file would probably be bigger than that, but I don't know. She would never give her. Remember, she didn't give her kids names for like ever, and then she did, and then she was like, "Someone said my kid's name." I don't even know. Like, I can't listen to her. I couldn't deal with that. I think we debunked it, and then we like left. Mary Beth, yeah, they might. They're pretty tight at first. They're a lot to get used to. You can't pull your hair up high. You have to wear it low and stuff. It's a hassle, but I do love them. So on January 10th, 2023, at approximately 10:40 hours, the Idaho State Police Detective Timothy Snell and Detective Leslie interviewed this person, date of birth, 1996. So what did they say? It says her interaction with fellow Washington State University classmate Brian Kohberger. The interview was recorded and she consented to the recording of the interview. Okay. She says she provided a number and she drives a white, it's redacted. She stated she first met Kohberger on campus at a meet and greet for the PhD program cohort. Redacted would later clarify at the event that the event date was August 17th, 2022. She explained that she and someone that she went with, who both came from wherever together, attended the event together. She provided the phone number for this person. After the event, she said she and Redacted talked about Kohberger and did not really like him based on their interactions with him. Redacted said she tried to give Kohberger the benefit of the doubt as he appeared to be trying to overly impress both of them. Redacted, she said she invited the whole cohort to her apartment during the second or third week of school. She said it was the University of Iowa versus Iowa State game. Kohberger attended the event, but was about 2.5 hours late. About a week after the event, Kohberger began to tell others, Redacted takes Redacted for something. Oh yeah, I read this earlier. So she says she suspected Kohberger may have looked in her bathroom cabinet and observed her prescriptions because she does not openly share with others about her problems. Okay, I ain't gonna lie. I think there's been a time I probably snuck a peek at someone's medicine cabinet in my day. It was probably a guy and it was probably in my 20s, but I think I probably have. So I'm not going to, I mean, Brian Kohberger's a little weird, but maybe it was just like, what's she got in there? Maybe he was just curious. I don't know. But no, I'm sure I've done that. I'm nosy. Actually, I don't do that. I'm one of those people. This is so bad. This is so bad. I'm telling myself. You can tell a lot about a person by their shower, like their shower. That's it. So I had a good friend. I'll just tell this really quick. I had a good friend and I was like, I'm going to look in her shower. Something has to be messy in this house. Like something has to be out of place, right? She was just so perfect. I mean, everything about this woman was perfect. And I opened up her shower curtain and it was stacked with like, it was like second bathroom and it was stacked with totes. And that's where she stored her extra stuff. Smart. That's where I store my extra blankets now because we have 2 bathrooms. We don't need 2 showers. But that's my story. Sorry about that. He wanted opioids. Oh, he probably did, Sheree. Oh. I bet you if he would have found something like that, he would have taken it. You know what I mean? Now, I would have never taken anything. I just, what you got in there? What you got? Okay, I'm going to let my dog in really quick. Is that okay? Look at that, like number 96, Mia More. Come on, guys. I'm going to be right back. Give me like 2 seconds. I should put some music on for you, but I'll be right back. Hold on. Everybody get in their spots. Sorry about that. Okay. One's looking at me and I don't know why. She'll get in her spot. I could hear her crying at the door. Sorry, guys. They went out to the potty when I came on live. That's why they weren't in here. Okay. So yeah, so she thinks that he observed her prescriptions because I mean, and that makes sense. He probably looked him up and he probably just knew actually about, maybe he probably knew, but he might have known like just by the prescription, like what they were, because I feel like when you're into drugs, you kind of, what's good and what's not good, right? Like, what to take and what not to take. And so it doesn't look like he took it. But it says that after her interactions with Kohberger, she began to distance herself from him and heard complaints from other female graduate students about how Kohberger would make them feel uncomfortable. This person said, as the semester progressed, there were numerous interactions with Kohberger staring at students weirdly during class. And okay, what is this? Spatially trapping, like getting in their personal space. Fellow students in the student offices Redacted stated when she was not around Kohberger, he would spatially trap in their redacted in their offices for long periods of time. Wow. She said there was a spiff during class between this random person, because it's redacted, and Kohberger, in which Kohberger was mansplaining to this girl. They said as the disagreement progressed, Redacted had the class move on from the topic. During follow-up questioning, Redacted provided the general context of the disagreement and reported that Kohberger said mansplaining did not exist. Redacted said her closest friends were, and she gives their names. When Detective Lehman asked her if Kohberger had any friends, she was unaware of anyone. She stated Kohberger would have been the closest with his office mates, who were international students. She stated she assumed Kohberger was helping Redacted learn English and prepare for the test of English as a foreign language. Oh, I wonder. During questioning about Kohberger's overall performance in school, she stated she did not think Kohberger was doing very well, as they could get a general idea of everyone's grades through a process of elimination. She said she heard rumors Kohberger stated she was inadequate to grade his papers because she was too foreign. Oh, no, he didn't. She further stated, while she did not know his specific grades, she said she did know Kohberger was not doing well as a TA because Redacted complained about not getting enough help from both Kohberger and Redacted. He said about halfway through the semester, this person put out a request for graders, which both she and Redacted applied for and began performing. That's all you do is pass out papers and then you grade them for the professor. How hard is that, Kohberger? How hard was that? You couldn't even do it for a semester. It's crazy. But this person said from her limited experience at the college, she thought it was rather unusual for a professor to request additional graders halfway through a semester. I would say that's very unusual. When asked about Kohberger's demeanor after November 13th, 2022, she said Kohberger's demeanor did change, however. Okay, that's weird. She attributed it to it being called out about not being a good TA. She says, okay, it did change. Okay. However, she attributed it to being called out about not being a good TA. She recalled Kohberger smiling at her more and being more respectful towards her. She said she thought this was occurring because Kohberger was not part of the tight cohort group. She asked, Redacted, said she fully anticipated Kohberger returning to school after the end of the semester. During additional follow-up questioning, she said Kohberger always wore a puffy coat to class, both prior to and after the homicides. So I guess he wore it before too. She told us there was a tally board in her office documenting how often Kohberger was late for class, and she and fellow students were tracking his tardiness, comparing it to female versus male professors. She later provided photographs of the tally board. She provided examples of Kohberger arriving late to class and her negative perception of Kohberger being late to graduate level courses. She said Kohberger never missed a class except for once, which she believed might have been the Thursday after the homicide, which was their methods class. She said Kohberger attended the Tuesday and Wednesday classes prior to being gone for Thursday class. She admittedly said she and her fellow classmates talked a lot of shit about Kohberger via group text message thread. Like, the new guy from Pennsylvania is weird. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to find friends. When asked, she said she had never been to Kohberger's apartment. She said she lives in Pullman, Washington. She provided additional examples regarding Kohberger blocking fellow students in the offices. She showed us an email from someone that said, "Help me, this convo is weird," dated October 28th, 2022. She said Kohberger would stand in doorways and not leave when it was clear, based on the social cues the person in the office was packing up and wanting to leave. She said she was aware of a formal complaint to HR Human Resources by someone for statements Kohberger made to her after she had stepped away. As a result of the complaint, a meeting took place regarding discrimination and harassment as a department. She thought the meeting occurred sometime in October or November and could not retrieve the exact date. Redacted said Redacted is hard of hearing and has 2 interpreters. However, the interpreters are only present in the classroom setting. I asked this person if Kohberger had a girlfriend or other acquaintances. She was unaware Kohberger constantly interacted with anyone. She said Kohberger was only around when classes were happening and rarely saw him when they did not have classes. She said Kohberger did not discuss his social plans with her and only knew he was interested in baseball. She said he told her, Redacted, he'd like to spend time alone in the woods. When asked, she said Kohberger told her he had no social media accounts. I could believe that. I really could. I could believe that. Redacted said she did notice injuries to Kohberger's hands in October and had joked that he must have been punching drywall in anger. She reported Kohberger told fellow students he had been boxing when explaining why his hands were injured. That's what I would figure. I mean, I don't know. But she said during 2 extensive student presentations on sexual victimization on college campuses and stalking, Kohberger sat through them and did not interject himself into the conversation. Regarding the death penalty, she reported Kohberger previously appeared to be in support of the death penalty and made statements that the victim's family should have a say as to whether or not the death penalty is imposed. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me right now? Bill Thompson, are you kidding me right now? Did you not read this? I'm really stunned. I'm stunned. I'm going to read that again. Wow, Kohberger. Oh, you son of a bitch. Kohberger sat. Okay. So this person said during 2 extensive student presentations on sexual victimization on college campuses and stalking, Kohberger sat through them and did not interject himself into the conversation. Regarding the death penalty, Redacted reported Kohberger previously appeared to be in support of the death penalty and made statements that the victim's family should have a say as to whether or not the death penalty is imposed. They should have. They should have. They should have had a say in it. And you know what? If they did, you would be on death row right now. She stated she did not know any of the victims and was not aware of anyone in her social circle who knew the victims. Wow. Steve would blow a gasket right now if he saw that. Oh, man. He's something else, isn't he? Okay, so they conducted an interview. Okay. So with a couple people, it looks like. The interview was in reference to a pool party which occurred at Redacted Pool in Moscow, Idaho on July 9th. So these two people both worked at Redacted and lived in Moscow, Idaho the day of the party. Redacted was working and looked out at the pool and saw approximately 200 people. She called her friend, their name's Redacted, and later went out to the pool. The two people were approached by Kohberger at the pool party. She was uncomfortable with how Kohberger was talking to her and her friend. So remember when he walked up to two girls and he got their phone number at the same time? I don't think that happened. She told Kohberger she was married and tried to end the conversation, but he continued to talk to them. That's weird. At one point, Redacted came over and intervened. This person placed himself in between Kohberger and the girls, but Kohberger continued to be fixated on the girls. The interaction ended shortly after with Redacted and Kohberger exchanging telephone numbers. They were not aware if any of the victims attended the pool party. At approximately 9:37 a.m., the interview ended. Man, he's a nut job. Okay, so someone went with the birthday on 1981. Oh yeah, ultimately he sees two discarded cigarette butts. Okay. So on November 21st, Detective Adams, they were conducting surveillance on a residence identified by a tip from the tip line regarding the murders which occurred in Moscow. The tip number was tip 391 and tip 73. The person identified in the tip was Redacted, a little bit older than me. His residence was identified in Pullman, Washington. I, alongside ISP detectives Herman, Hennel, Walker, and ISP Sergeant Stinnett, conducted surveillance of the residence. While conducting surveillance, we observed a male who appeared to be Redacted. The male would come out every few hours to smoke cigarettes on the west-facing steps to the entrance of the building. At approximately 12 hours, I observed Redacted put out his cigarette between his feet. He then began smoking a second cigarette. Wow, he's just smoking them, isn't he? When he was done, he again put the cigarette out between his feet. I could see two cigarette butts between his feet. A few minutes later, he stood up and went back inside. After he got up, the cigarette butts were not in the location where I saw him leave them. Well, that's because he probably bent down and picked them up. I don't know. But he was sitting on the steps leading to our community entrance door where multiple people used it to enter the building and then go to whichever apartment they were going to. The steps Redacted was on faced west. There is another set of steps on the east side leading to the landing where both sets of steps give access to the landing where the door is located. There are paved walkways leading from sidewalks to the entrance of the building. Detective Herman contacted a local officer and asked about obtaining the cigarette butts from the walkway of the building. The officer contacted a local prosecutor who advised us that if the butts were in a common walkway and a walkway leading from a public sidewalk to the entrance, then we could walk up, grab the discarded cigarette butts, and leave without a warrant. At approximately 1600 hours, I exited my vehicle and went to the area where the cigarette butts were seen. While at the bottom of the steps where Redacted had been seen smoking, I saw two cigarette butts in the area where his feet were located. One cigarette butt was to the right of where his right foot would have been located, and the other cigarette butt was near the stair behind where his left foot would have been located. Okay, those cigarette butts appeared to be fresh. I also noticed a can near the stair full of cigarette butts. I did not retrieve any of those cigarette butts and only collected the two cigarette butts that appeared fresh in close proximity to where I had seen the person drop cigarette butts. I don't know why he has to put cigarette butts there so many times, but he did. After collecting the cigarette butts, I put them in a paper envelope and transported them to Moscow Police Department, where they're booked into evidence. Who's smoking the cigarettes and throwing them on the ground? Who's littering out there? Litter bugs. Okay, so we've got another one, 25, a person that's 28. Okay, so they are doing an interview and their interactions with the fellow classmate by the name of Brian C. Kohberger, inmate number 163214. This person, she stated she first met Kohberger during orientation as they were both first-year PhD students at the University of Washington. She said she attended classes with Kohberger, which she further explained as attending class together twice on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, and one on Thursday. Oh, lucky for her. She said the only social event she had previously attended with Kohberger was a barbecue hosted at his residence. Hold on. Redacted hosted as, maybe it's the redacted name, okay? Because I don't see Brian hosting. Thanks, Marcella, for becoming a member. I appreciate that. I don't see Kohberger doing a barbecue, right? I just don't. He can't actually. He couldn't even do a barbecue because he's on the second floor. He can't do it on a balcony on the second floor. And welcome on in. Thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate that so much. And if you guys don't mind, if you'll take a second, hit the like button. It does help the channel grow. So, okay, let's see what she said. So she said that there was a barbecue hosted at his residence. Redacted said her only day-to-day interaction with Kohberger occurred in the classroom because she worked upstairs in a secure area as part of her internship. I'm assuming with the university. And Kohberger's office was downstairs. She was lucky. Richardson provided a brief overview of Kohberger's demeanor in the classroom and the need to assert upon fellow students his knowledge. She said Kohberger liked to over-explain offender decision-making and was doing his final research paper on burglary. Just keeps getting better. She said during introductions, Kohberger said his reason for attending WSU was for the internship, which is the position she had been chosen for over Kohberger. Oh, she obtained the position in the spring and conducted onboard training over the summer. That's probably why he was such an a-hole. He didn't get what he wanted. He got outbeaten by a girl. And now he's a TA. And he's not on the good floor, right? Where you're all secured and stuff. He's on the bottom floor. He's in the basement. I don't know, but you know what I mean. Okay. So it says, okay, where are we at? She stated she was sick the week following the murder, the homicides, then was gone for Thanksgiving break. After returning to class after Thanksgiving, she said Kohberger had cuts on his hands. She described the cuts on his hands as cat scratches with Band-Aids over the cuts. She did not ask Kohberger about the cuts on his hands because of his general overengagement in conversation. She said the dates she would have seen the cuts were November 29th and November 30th. She said they had harassment training on November 8th, 2022, and it was rumored the training was because of Kohberger. It was. However, she cannot confirm that information. She can now. She said Kohberger's behavior changed after the meeting, and she assumed his behavior change was in response to what they discussed in training. She described Kohberger becoming quieter and not speaking up in class. She said on Wednesday, November 9th, 2022, Kohberger arrived late and then left class after 10 minutes to go and get coffee, which she described as highly unusual. She described an interaction with Kohberger after leaving one evening when she was with Redacted, and Kohberger trapped her into conversation with him. She stated she was not aware of Kohberger having any social media. She said Kohberger showed her pictures of him hiking in the area of Moscow Mountain, and he appeared to be alone. She said she had never been to Kohberger's apartment or his vehicle. She stated she did not know the victims and was unaware of anyone who knew them. On December 4th, 2022, she found snow footprints leading to the back window of her apartment. Whoever had left the footprints had backtracked within the tracks. That's smart. That's sneaky, right? It would be even sneakier if you had like a little broom and you could get rid of your shoe prints. But wow. Okay. I'm gonna say that's probably Kohberger. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna blame that on him. But that sounds like somebody that would know what to do, right? Okay. So wow. So someone went to the back of her apartment where her bedroom is. They left footprints and then they backtracked through the prints. She forwarded the photographs of the footprints to Detective Lehman. She provided her address. It's in Pullman. Near the interview's conclusion, she requested we speak with, and it's redacted by phone, about an incident at the apartment. She said he was playing video games when someone jiggled the door handle to the apartment, and after getting up and looking outside, no one was there. She said the incident occurred between October 26th and December 9th, 2022. Okay. So then they had another interview with a Washington State University undergraduate student. And it was recorded with their knowledge. Redacted name had been forwarded to investigators by Redacted. He believed that Redacted had been asked repeatedly for Brian C. Kohberger. They spelled it Brian. Oh my God. On a date that is, this attention was unwanted and Kohberger had been told to stop. Okay, this is, I can't even read this because they're so bad. So it says had been asked repeatedly for Brian on a date and that this attention was unwanted and Kohberger had been told to stop. Okay. Kohberger was the teaching assistant in the criminal justice class, which Miss Redacted was a student. They didn't, the Miss part, they didn't redact that. So we're going to call her Miss. Miss told us that she had only seen Kohberger on one occasion when she was sitting in a criminal justice class. Redacted given by Redacted, and Kohberger had been introduced as his TA for the class. Other than that, she only correspondence with Kohberger was through submitting class papers to him for review and grading via an online WSU system / student portal. Miss said that she had never seen Kohberger in the class again and never at a social event. She believed that Redacted had mistaken her for another criminal justice student. She did tell us she used to work at the Redacted in Moscow. Was it like maybe the Mad Greek? I don't know. But it says at one time, and knew that her coworkers also knew the students that were murdered. I don't know. She had gone to visit her former coworkers after the murders. Maybe. I think we're taking pretty good guesses for everything being redacted, you know? So then this is another interview connection with her knowledge and interactions with Brian. Prior to the start of the interview, she confirmed she was happy for the interview to be recorded. Okay. She is employed by, I'm going to say WSU, but Redacted. During the normal course of her duty, she investigates and provides education, mediation, and other disciplinary focused responses to complaints reports made by members of the student body, specifically if those complaints have a discriminatory nexus. Her department facilitates group educational classes when asked by faculty leadership. Bowman advised due to legal restrictions placed on staff, she was able only to provide some answers to questions in general terms and not with direct specificity. I referred to one such mandatory education class, which was provided to the criminal justice graduate program following complaints made against Brian Kohberger. She said she did not teach that class as her, curriculum. A Redacted, someone else did. So a Redacted taught it, and she could not comment on Kohberger's attendance. She stated she had never interacted with Kohberger directly or indirectly, albeit she was in receipt of reports regarding his behavior. She stated per her notes, she was in receipt of 13 reports pertaining to Kohberger highlighting concerns regarding his behavior. So it went from 9 and now we're up to 13. There's keep your hands to yourself, right? I mean, keep your mouth to yourself. Like that's what we're taught in like kindergarten, 12-inch voices. Were you ever taught that 12-inch voices? If the person in front of you, they're like 12 inches away from you, that's the only person that should be able to hear you. Someone over here should be able to hear you right here. I don't know. That stuck with me. Do I use a 12-inch voice? I absolutely do not. But man, maybe he should have. Bowman suggested that a subpoena should be provided to WSU in order to release any records that are held by the department relating to these reports or matters. He further recommended investigators, should review WSU's Executive Procedure 15, available online from WSU's website, maybe I will, and a copy of the graduate student policy and procedures with reference to the student grievance section. What page are we on? 307. I swear we'll probably never stop talking about this case if I keep writing stuff down to go over. We're getting closer, though. We're at 308 on the documents. Okay, so they're gonna someone else with just about the connection and knowledge of Kohberger. The interview took place in Pullman, Washington. And she was happy or this person was happy for them to record it. So this person is employed by somebody. She has held this position for approximately 11 and a half years and has worked at, I'm going to say WSU, in total for over 35 years. During the normal course of her duties, she regularly interacted with Kohberger as Redacted conducts the Redacted for Redacted. Kohberger maintains an office downstairs. She said he is frequently in her office, especially as her undergraduate assistant. Works with her, sorry. She stated Kohberger seems to have a particularly keen interest in Redacted. He would simply stand at her desk, I guess this other girl, including behind her, staring over her shoulders as she worked and stare at her. She noted Professor Redacted was asked to escort this person to her car at the end of the workday as Kohberger's behavior was of concern. This person commented that his inappropriate behavior was reported to Professor Redacted, and wow, he went in trouble. So then she said, to her recollection, Redacted was Kohberger's closest peer and had on occasion inserted himself between Kohberger and Redacted as a distraction. Okay. Well, I'm surprised somebody stood up and, try to distract and mediate. Because if I was me, like when people are like that with like Kohberger, like they're just too close and they're just in your space, I will go out of my way to not talk to that person. Like I will walk an extra 3 miles to my car if I need to go around the stairs and go, just the other way. I will do it. She should have put AirPods in. Maybe that would have worked. She could have been like, on a phone call. Very important. Sorry. That's what I would have done. So this person's a male, 28. Oh, wait, that's Brian Kohberger, suspect. Look at that. And then witness 1. Okay, so they interviewed this person. It's their student, date of birth 2004. That's when I graduated. This person was a student in CRMJ, in which Brian Kohberger was the teacher's assistant. He's in Block J now. J Block. Look at that. Maybe you can be the teacher's assistant there. So the interview was held at the campus in a private office. This person confirmed their phone number and said they resided in Pullman. She recalled meeting T.A. Kohberger on the first or second day of class. She believed Kohberger mentioned having a background in the military. You liar. You got kicked out of that program in high school. She said Kohberger was quiet and did not engage with the class unless asked to do so by Professor Redacted. She exchanged emails with Kohberger regarding a final paper and held a Zoom meeting with Kohberger on December 9th, 2022 with 2 to 3 other students from the class. She said Kohberger left his camera off during the Zoom meeting. Sneaky snake. She said students tended to leave cameras off during Zoom meetings, but it was unusual for TAs and professors to leave the camera off during these meetings. Yeah, that'd be like me having my camera off all the time. Like trying to have a conversation, you can't even see the person. Redacted said Kohberger's attitude during the Zoom meetings was chatty and upbeat, stating Kohberger seemed nicer than prior interactions. She confirmed she did not engage with Kohberger outside of the classroom or social media. She considered Kohberger's behavior and demeanor to be formal. She later forwarded me the emails she exchanged with Kohberger. Okay. Put those emails on a disk and they sent them over to Moscow. That's what they all say. So it's easy to go through those. So this person, they conducted an interview with them and they're in the master's program in criminal justice. Okay. It was held in a private office. They said they can probably record it, but let's see. Okay. So this person, like I said, they're in the criminal justice program, Washington State University. This person was in the same cohort as PhD student, Brian Kohberger. The interview was held in a campus in a private office. She confirmed her residence. She confirmed what she drove. She confirmed her cell phone number. She said mostly interacts in class, shared for 3 hours per day with Kohberger, and explained Kohberger's interactions in her office. She shared it with 3 other people. She said Kohberger seemed to focus his attention towards her office mate. which made that person uncomfortable. The office mate tried to keep their office door closed to keep Kohberger out. Who says the word mates? I'm trying to think of like what country they use that in. I should know, but I don't. I know it's a few, but I'm thinking that this person's, that's why they're like they say mates instead of people or whatever, you know. I like that word kind of better. Okay, so then she said she tried to remain civil when speaking to Kohberger, but felt he tended to be aggressive and upfront, specifically with female colleagues. She said Kohberger engaged in unsolicited debates and arguments regarding topics she felt were not up for debate. She explained an incident in class where the topic of eyewitness misidentification was being discussed. We discussed that on this channel. She was explaining her viewpoints due to her background in the topic. Kohberger was agitated and argumentative, because he did not agree with her explanation. Classmate redacted defended redacted to Kohberger and tried to stop the debate. This person told Kohberger his arguing was mansplaining when speaking to this other person. She said Kohberger did not understand what mansplaining meant, but disagreed that he was engaging in that fashion. She said the exchange made her upset and uncomfortable and left her not wanting to interact any further with Kohberger. She would explain she filed a written email complaint to the WSU Civil Rights and Compliance Group regarding the mansplaining incident. She said her goal was to create documentation of the incident should further issues arise. So Redacted knew this person had spoken to Kohberger about his behavior, but nothing further came of the incident. She said she did not interact with Kohberger outside the campus setting, with the exception of a party at an apartment he attended for an hour. She recalled other department gatherings at Paradise Creek Brewery. She said Kohberger had a bottle of wine to himself and seemed to focus his attention on the female server. Redacted did not share any social media with Kohberger, but said Kohberger often referred to the Wazoo Reddit page. We might need to do a little digging, writing that page number down. I'm gonna have all these page numbers written down and be like, what was I doing? Because I mean, you know, maybe he's on there. Redacted, or she never had any direct text with Kohberger, just the GroupMe chat group for the cohort. Okay. She recognized a change in behavior by Kohberger by getting up and leaving class more often in the week leading up to Thanksgiving break. Kohberger would get up to get a cup of coffee, which Redacted explained was highly inappropriate for a graduate student to behave this way. He knew he was done. He knew he had already bothered way too many people up in that college already, hadn't even been there a semester. He's like, I might as well just go get a cup of coffee when I want. Shit. I mean, really, it's like when it's almost like, how can I put this in a way? Like almost like when you get like a new job or something, right? And you're like, oh, like you see your future in that job and you're leaving that one behind. You know what I mean? You're just kind of like getting lazier. You're just like, I'm leaving in a couple weeks. I don't know. Or like when school's almost out for the year, like that. So this person spoke of Kohberger constantly wearing a puffy down coat, including during class, lasting several hours. Well, maybe he was cold. But this person never saw Kohberger with anyone she believed was his friend. She stated Kohberger never made friends. Kohberger confided in this person in November that he wished he was in a relationship. Oh. So you like the ladies, Brian? Just didn't find one that you liked enough or something? Redacted said Kohberger expressed interest in female members of the cohort, but nothing materialized. She said Kohberger flirted with Redacted until he learned she was married. He didn't see the ring on her finger? He's 28 years old and he didn't notice that? I remember the first time I noticed a ring on a guy's finger, I was 18. And I remember I looked down at the left hand and I thought, oh my God, I did it. I'm old. I went and told my mom I was freaking out. I was like 18, I think. That's weird. You know, like he didn't notice the ring. So she said there was a tally board in her office memorializing the number of times Kohberger was late to class. I want to know how many times. And one to show the number of times Kohberger makes discriminatory comments and behaviors to the cohort members. Oh, wow. He has two boards here. Remember he had the sign up at the bar? Don't, like when this guy creepy McCreeperson, when he comes in, you know, let's like not serve him. Okay. People like to do a tally board on you, Kohberger. Maybe I need one. I think I need a tally board. I have like a little whiteboard somewhere around here. So she noticed that following Thanksgiving break, Kohberger was very quiet. She felt Kohberger must have realized his behavior was being accounted for, and this was causing his lack of engagement. In the week leading up to Christmas break, the department held a Christmas party. Redacted held the party and a conversation with Kohberger regarding classes. Redacted was taking left, Redacted with the impression he would be returning for spring semester. So why wouldn't he come back for winter? Or is that considered spring? Like when you come back in the winter? I don't know. I haven't been to college in so long. Okay, Redacted said she saw Kohberger with injuries to his left hand while in class. Redacted sat to Kohberger's left 3 feet away from him, and during a class following Thanksgiving break, she had clear vision of his left hand. She described the injury as bruised knuckles. The redness was halfway up the back of his hand hand from his knuckles. I think it's probably just his hands. And he had a cut in his ring finger knuckle. So like here or here. Kohberger had told this person he was a boxer. She said Kohberger did not try to hide the injured hand. She has never been in Kohberger's apartment or car. She said Kohberger had told the cohorts he wanted to be a university professor. Redacted stated with a chuckle he really liked to teach people things. She said Kohberger genuinely tried and wanted to be friends with people, but he did not know how. She explained Kohberger was argumentative and she was not furthering the distance between them. She reiterated Kohberger's uninvited visits to her office to include Kohberger sitting at a seat directly next to her desk, leaving her stuck talking to him. She said Kohberger did not share information about his personal life. Well, he didn't have anything to share. What was he going to share? I used to be fat. I got skinny. I was a heroin addict. Don't look at my arms. Maybe that's why I'm wearing a big heavy coat. So then someone got interviewed. I can't see. Okay, we'll go down here a little bit. Oh my gosh, look at all these acquaintances. Okay, so on January 9th at approximately 17:03 hours, Idaho State Police and Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent Brian Gunnarsson interviewed this person, redacted, date of birth 1998, campus in Pullman, Washington. This person was advised interviews are recorded. Okay. This redacted was advised the interview was regarding any interactions he may have had with Brian C. Kohberger. This person was advised he was a redacted student in the PhD program for sociology. He would occasionally attend criminal justice classes. Okay. He first met Kohberger at the beginning of fall 2022 semester, sometime around August 15th, 2022 in criminology. It's just in crim. Okay. Redacted described the layout of the classroom as a 45 to 50 person classroom, which would be arranged for the crim classes by putting desks in a circle to encourage discussion. This person estimated the class consisted of 10 to 15 graduate students. The class was held on Wednesdays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. He estimated the semester was over and classes finished around December 9th. This person stated the seating was not arranged, but once students established a seat at the beginning of the semester, they would usually sit in the same seats. That makes sense. Redacted stated he was one of the last people to get to the classroom, and Kohberger would similarly show up last. Due to this, they usually ended up sitting directly to the right of Kohberger during class. Okay. This person stated most of the students in the class seemed to know each other from other classes. And then they provided an email list of the students who attended the class. Redacted would interact with Kohberger during class occasionally, but did not have any problems personally with him. They described one bizarre incident which stuck out in his memory. He described the incident as occurring within the first few weeks of class between Kohberger and Redacted. Okay. So this person described how Redacted was stating something in class and Kohberger was attempting to correct her. He described Kohberger as over-explaining things to Redacted and then told Kohberger he was man-explaining. Man explaining everything to her, and she understood what he was trying to say. Kohberger then went on to explain that he was not man explaining and started to define what man explaining was. They're saying it wrong. Due to this interaction, this person left the classroom during the middle of class without taking her laptop or coffee. This person described the incident as redacted and Kohberger bickering and debating that turned very tense. Okay, so one occasion, this person and Kohberger had a conversation just outside the classroom, which was about the classroom topics. During that discussion, Redacted mentioned he needed to get heading home to make dinner for his fiancée. Such a good man. Kohberger replied something to the effect of, "You look really happy to be doing that. Most guys I know hate making food for their women." Redacted found this to be weird. Yeah. Redacted described Kohberger as the black sheep of the cohort and very to himself. He described his relationship with Kohberger as more than acquaintances, but less than friends. He stated he did not talk to Kohberger about many personal topics. He did not have much information about Kohberger's personal life. Man, why couldn't you guys be a little more nosy? You know what I mean? Just a little bit. There she goes, burying herself into the floor again. My dog does that. I don't know why she does. She does it every night. Okay, so this is another interview in Pullman. Who's... Oh, they just have the same... Okay, that's the female. So this person advised... Okay, let me see. They wanted to talk to her about, regards with her interaction with Brian. She advised she had one class with Kohberger. The class was the fall 2022 semester. She estimated the class was from the end of August 22 to the beginning of December 2022 on Tuesdays from 10 p.m. to 5 p.m. She stated the students were in the first year cohort. She stated she was the only student enrolled in the class who was redacted. It doesn't say. She stated seating in the classroom was not assigned and students would sit where they want. She stated at the beginning of the semester, the students would sit close together, but as the semester went on, the students were spacing out in the classroom. She stated she believed the reason for the students spacing out was to distance themselves from Kohberger. What? Like he was chasing him with his little desk. I don't know. I'm just picturing him in one of those like old school desks. Like, why doesn't anyone want to sit close to me? Because you talk too much, Kohberger. Man, I wish he had YouTube on that little TV in jail so he could hear that. Redacted stated Kohberger would often interject himself in conversations with, and it's redacted. She stated her office was across the hall from Redacted office, and she would purposely leave their office door open to give Redacted a place to go in case Kohberger would go into Redacted's office. She stated that after the murder, she did not notice anything out of the ordinary with Kohberger. She stated she did not have any interactions with Kohberger where he was rude or disrespectful to her. She also stated she had not witnessed any harassment, so she did not fill out the CCR harassment report when it was provided. Okay. And then the list of the students, all that was sent to Moscow. Send it all to Moscow. Okay, so then we have this male here, 31 years old. Wanted to know regarding knowledge or interactions with Brian C. Kohberger, White male, 1994. So they agreed to be interviewed. They'd be happy to be recorded. So this person is a graduate student at WSU in the criminal justice program. He is a redacted / classmate of Kohberger. Initially, he noted he did not interact with Kohberger outside of the academic setting, but as the interview progressed, he elaborated in greater detail these interactions. He referred to a specific time in late October or early November 2022, where after a class, Kohberger offered to give him a ride home in his white Elantra. He noted this event as he spent nearly 3 hours in conversation with Kohberger. Redacted stated he was cautious when forming friendships or relationships with fellow students. He was concerned to ensure he was able to work closely with someone over the time of the graduate program. As a result of this caution, he took time to observe and analyze interactions with others. He commented he noted Kohberger would deliberately socially engineer his conversation and talking points to integrate himself within a group. He specifically noted this with regard to Kohberger discussing sports. When he indicated he had no interest in sports, Kohberger moved to stating he had little interest in sports. During this conversation, which was conducted in Kohberger's car, in the parking lot, and the parking space outside Redacted's home, oh my God, he couldn't even get out of the car. Kohberger said he had no one to really have guy talks with. What the fuck's a guy talk? Like, seriously, what do guys talk about? Are there any men in here tonight? What do y'all talk about? What do you guys talk about? Man talks. I bet you it's the same thing that women do. I bet it's the same. I bet same as women talks, but it's just about men. Like they be gossiping about other men. I bet you that's what it is. That's what I'm saying. He briefly talked about women and dating, noting Kohberger said he could pick up any woman he wanted in bars and clubs. Not this one. He noted he felt the interference was Kohberger did not view value in women and saw them more as articles. He said he felt like he was verbally kidnapped as Kohberger continued to want to talk, describing this scenario as a 3-hour conversation in a 5-minute journey. Took him 5 minutes to get home. Took him 3 hours to get out the car. Why didn't his wife come out and help him? Where was the fiance? You said we just talk. I want to know what you guys talk about now. Be listening in. I think we all are little gossipers, men and women. That's still funny though. 3-hour conversation. Wow. Kohberger moved the conversation to social media and its impact on societal issues. To this end, they discussed how people align themselves with social media bubbles, which became echo chambers. We got a couple of those on YouTube. Kohberger discussed politics and indicated he had predominantly conservative household values wherein traditional gender roles apply. And I do believe that is like, I don't want to say like that's just what they teach in Pennsylvania, but I know a lot of people that think that way that live there. And I'm from there too, you know. I don't know. I just know a lot of people that I know that live there. And I know a lot of people. They all believe in like traditional beliefs. I don't know why, but they do. We don't have traditional roles in this house though. Me and Maury said whatever we want to. Probably cars and stuff. I don't know. So this person said, okay, oh, right here. Okay. So it says that he said in his interaction with Kohberger, he never discussed his home, family, or friends, but did discuss his educational experiences at his previous college, DeSales University. We already know. He recalled Kohberger indicated a desire to work with. He does want to work with her. Look at this. This is Catherine Ramsland right here, a professor of forensic psychology and criminal justice at, we know that's DeSales, who has written many notable books and articles on the serial killer BTK. I thought he wasn't going to give her no interview, but maybe he will. This person described Kohberger as focused but arrogant. He wanted all of his classmates to know he was the smartest guy in the room and wanted to highlight his academic prowess. Redacted said the female members of the class had an innate ability to see things like character traits in people not often recognized by men. They voiced that Kohberger made them uncomfortable, felt unsafe, and that he was creepy. Redacted said he was close to filing a report to the university regarding Kohberger's behavior in the latter part of November 2022, but did not because the report is not anonymous. He further commented on Kohberger's lack of sleep, which Redacted said was very apparent. He was late to lectures and would frequently get up and leave mid-lecture and come back with coffee. Why did you get the coffee before your lecture? Or maybe he did. He drank that coffee and he wanted another one. Maybe you should take 2 coffees or like a big thermos, you know? That would have worked. So then we have another one that they interviewed at Washington State University. This was with a Miss, so we're just going to call her Miss. The interview with Miss was recorded with her knowledge and permission. Oh, wait, look at this. Oh, I thought that was another name. I thought it was a name that they didn't redact. Miss told us that Brian Kohberger had been selected for the criminal justice program by a panel. Miss did not sit on this selection panel. She was assigned as Kohberger's redacted for his doctoral program. His assignment as a program-trained assistant TA was through redacted. Miss said she only had one interaction with Kohberger as redacted because beginning in late August 2022, she began receiving complaints about Kohberger from students and staff members in the criminal justice program in August. He was here for like 2 or 3 months and was already getting people complaining about him. How do you manage to do that? I mean, even I can get on the internet and do a live every day of the night and not get no controversy. Even I could do it. And we talk true crime over here and stuff. Couldn't do it, Kohberger. But I mean, he just had he had no chill. He had no it was like, I mean, I don't know, Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I feel like. Because when we see him in court, he's very quiet, very, not like he's going to be yelling out, but you know what I mean? He didn't talk a lot. He didn't say anything extra, no extra stuff, not even a, your honor. But then we hear from these people and they're like, yeah, he was just sexist. He was horrible, followed us everywhere, cornered us, wouldn't let us go out the door. Craziness. It says, because of these complaints, Ms. Redacted spent a lot of time, she thought, at least once a week, speaking about Kohberger during different disciplinary meetings. The meetings focused around Kohberger's interaction with fellow postgraduate students in and out of the classroom, along with his behavior around some of the criminal justice professors. Miss said that Kohberger appeared to be socially awkward, but then she told us that in her experience, a lot of academics are socially awkward. Yeah. However, the various complaints were about how Kohberger spoke to other staff and students, his stating of outspoken discriminatory comments, which were homophobic, ableist, what's xenophobic? I'm going to look that one up, and misogynistic. I feel like I should know this word. What's that mean? Why are you not going to give me the definition? Having or showing a dislike or prejudice against people from other countries. Oh. Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have any of that. That's crazy. What? Kohberger, you are going homophobic. You are going to you are in the wrong place. You are in the wrong place. You better just ask them to just keep you in the medical ward. He would also stare at people and stand uncomfortably close or lean over women, making them feel very uncomfortable. Miss brought Kohberger to her office to speak to him about the complaints and attempted to get him to correct his behavior. Kohberger's response to this was his deflection of personal responsibility, saying that his comments had been misunderstood. Kohberger indicated to Miss he hoped to continue in the program and his desire to remain in the field of academia. He did tell Miss that he wished to work under redacted. She told us that redacted field of expertise is in sex offenses and decision-making processes of offenders. Oh, you're not going to be working anywhere but mopping the floors in the prison if you're lucky. So then this has the victims' names. Oh, it just has Kaylee and Ethan. So then on December 5th, okay, they followed up with tips 6008. The tip expressed concern about an online photograph taken from what appeared to be a Halloween party where members of the fraternity were in attendance. In the photo, a male believed to be a member of the fraternity can be seen wearing a military-style body armor carrier, also known as a plate carrier. Attached to the front of the carrier is what appeared to be a large KBAR-style knife. The tipster read online that a KBAR knife may have been the type of weapon used in the murders and wanted to pass it on to police. Okay. So that these detectives called this person that had the knife and they asked to meet. At approximately 17:32 hours, Detective Adams and I arrived at the house located on the University of Idaho campus. We met with the person and showed him the photograph from the tip. This person recognized the male, gave him their name, and informed us he was a member of one of the fraternities and was currently in the house. So they met with this person. He explained his activities on the evening of November 12th as follows. He had an event called Colonial Days and it started at 8, held at the Beef Pavilion. Him and his date and other friends went to the Mystic Cafe in Lewiston, Idaho for dinner before the event. They left Colony Days and went to Redacted House around 10 p.m. This person and friends later left the house and went to a party and was there until about 1:30 a.m. Then they walked back to the house and arrived at approximately 1:45 a.m. They hung out in someone's room. Sometime later, he walked his date back to her place and then returned. Once back, he hung out with other fraternity members, then went to bed. He told us he had been to the victim's house about 2 months prior with a female, and he names her, and she's a member of a sorority. He said he had met Kayla Gonzalez briefly that night and one other time, also at the victim's house with his friend. They claimed he had only briefly met Gonzalez and did not know her or the other victims well at all. He claimed this was his only interaction with any of the victims. He consented to providing a DNA sample via buccal swab with Detective Adams. Okay. While speaking, he mentioned he and his friend, date of birth, gave him the date of birth, bought the knives together at a sporting goods store in Lewiston, Idaho around Christmas time, 2021. Okay. And he told us that the detectives that the other person that they bought the knife with was at the house. So they spoke with him and confirmed that they bought the knives together. They still had the knife and consented to showing Detective Adams and me. The photographs were taken or collected. He told us he had previously met Ethan Chapin at the formal, but he said and said he and his date Redacted went out with them to Hunga Dunga. He stated he remained there for about an hour, and then left. He claimed he had no other contact with any of the victims. End of report. Let me see where we're at. Okay. I think we were right here. Okay. So, up here a little bit. So it says that this is regarding a tip. Tip number 5013. Regarding his recent purchase of a KBAR knife. The knife had not been delivered to Redacted's home yet. Okay. So when detectives and I knocked on the door, he initially did not come to the door. We knew Redacted to be home because we had watched him walk to his door, and a neighbor across the street told us they observed him looking out an upstairs window while we were knocking. Ultimately, he answered the door and asked in a very low sounding voice who we were. We called him by his first name and told him we needed to talk to him. He asked what we wanted to talk about. I told him we were law enforcement and asked if he was looking at us through the peephole in the door. He told me he was, and I showed him my ISP issued badge through the peephole. Instantly, Redacted's voice changed to a higher pitched voice. The door unlocked, and he invited us in. Price scared kid, you know. We went into the living room of his apartment. He was the only person in the apartment. We asked Redacted if he knew why we were at his apartment. He told us he figured it was because of the murders. He initially did not admit to ordering a KBAR knife. When asked what kinds of things he ordered recently, he told us he ordered a ski mask. I observed this order information on his Amazon account. He voluntarily provided me his phone and allowed me to look at his account. In his recent purchases was a ski mask and commercial grade cleaning gloves. Brian's cousin. I asked if he had an email address, and if so, did he receive email confirmations on orders? He had been given an information regarding an email used to confirm purchase of the KBAR knife. I asked if I could look at his email to see if he had a confirmation email and what his email was. He provided me a different email address than the one used to purchase the KBAR knife. Wow. He again voluntarily gave me his phone and allowed me to look at his emails. While doing that, I clicked on his email account icon and noticed another email address, including the email address used to confirm purchase of the KBAR knife. And then he gives that email address. As I began to look at the emails in his inbox, he stuttered. I think it's stuttered, not studded. I think the word is supposed to be stuttered, not studded. But it says stuttered, and then said, I know why you're here. Sergeant Hopkins asked Redacted to tell us why we were there. Redacted told us it was because he ordered 2 knives. He admitted he had purchased 2 knives from KBAR. This was consistent with the tip we had received in the confirmation email I found in the emails. We asked him why he ordered those knives. He told us it was because he did not have a gun and ordered them for protection. He said he didn't feel like he was in immediate danger. After talking for a bit, he was on his own. He asked if we would like to do a room inspection or something. We told him we'd like to if he was okay with it. He agreed, and Sergeant Hopkins and Detective Barrett searched the house or his room while I talked to him. While talking with him. I asked him why he chose that particular knife. He told me he saw on the news the killer used a KBAR style knife and he wanted to match it. Matching energies, I guess. After talking it through, he said he would have a gun instead if he knew how to buy one. He appeared to realize it sounded unrealistic for him to buy a knife to match the killer if they were ever to get into a fight. Redacted told us he did not know any of the victims of the murder that had occurred. He voluntarily provided a DNA sample via buccal swab. He seized the buccal swab, placed him in a paper envelope, and then he gave him to, Moscow police. We know the drill. We know the drill by now. Okay, so then we're going to be listing the victims. We're Kaylee and Xana, it looks like. We've got 3 witnesses. Okay, on December 8th, 2022, they're talking to these people. It says, who was a babysitter for some of the football coaches? Okay. Redacted was the person who would either babysit or get a babysitter for them. Kaylee Gonzalez was identified by Redacted as being one of the babysitters used. Okay. She stated she was only aware of one family that Gonzalez worked for as a babysitter. She identified the family as the Redacted. Explained she had met them while working in the recruiting department for the University of Idaho. Date of birth, same year as me. And she was Redacted. She was involved in the recruiting department. She told me she met Redacted one day in the hallways when he approached her about being a babysitter. She agreed to babysit, or Redacted agreed to babysit for the Redacted and ultimately met this person with the date of birth, 1988. She explained she was the primary babysitter and coordinated with Redacted in scheduling other girls to babysit. She created spreadsheets and time slots for other girls to babysit. She was the main contact for each girl when they babysat. I mean, how many babies are there to be babysat? That sounds weird. Spreadsheets for babysitting? That's kind of weird. She went on to explain that Gonzalez babysat for the Redacted during the summer of 2022. She was unsure how many times Gonzalez babysat, but knew it was many. Get your spreadsheet out. I asked her if that was the only way she knew the victim. She told me she was very close with Xana Kernodle. She stated she was in the same sorority as Kernodle and they spent a lot of time together. She knew what Kernodle's major was, knew her hobbies, and was aware of Kernodle's boyfriend. She was not aware of anyone who would want to hurt the victims. I asked Redacted for contact information. She provided me phone numbers. She stated she lived in another home on Redacted in Moscow, Idaho. She told me a story of a time where a male came up the stairs at her apartment at approximately 1:30 a.m. She was unsure if it was related to the murder incident, but wanted to report it. She didn't have any other information regarding the murders. End of report. Okay, so we'll stop there for the night. 3:31. We started at like 260 something. Oh, it started 2 hours in. Dang, I was going to stay on for an hour and a half tonight. That means we've read 4 hours today. Oh my gosh. Y'all, 4 hours worth of documents. That's a lot. That's a lot of hours. I appreciate everybody being here with me. Thank you guys so much for coming and spending a little bit of time and listening to me read. I do appreciate that. Hopefully I didn't, mispronounce any words wrong too much. I don't think I did. But the grammar in these documents isn't the best. They should have like somebody like, I don't know, an intern or something. I don't know, like reread their handiwork. Cause it's bad, but they're not there for spelling, right? They're not there for grammar. They're just there to make sure the story is coherent and we do the rest, but, I'd like to see what other people are saying that are more for like pro Brian being innocent still. I would like to hear what they say about like all these reports of other people saying that Brian did all these things, right? I'm wondering if they're over there going, well, but he's lonely. That's what it was. He was just lonely. Just lonely. I don't know. I don't know what excuse they're doing, but he was creeping around everybody playing nice, right? They aren't covering for it. Oh, they were covering him? Oh, they ain't gonna be doing that. They ain't gonna do that. They will not cover nothing. They don't cover the truth. I just read it to y'all. And you guys, you take it for what it's worth, and then I give my commentary. Of course I do. Especially today. Today's live, that was pretty funny because it was like my brother, sister's cousin's friend told me. I'm like, oh my, we're not doing this. But I think I might be right with some of those names and some of the tips. I think I might be right. But thank you guys so much for being here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I'm trying to reach, I think we're like, I always go by the smaller part of the number. I think we have 22,000 subscribers, but we're almost at 200. That makes sense. 22,200. I don't know. I go by the last number, so it feels like I only have 200 people, but it doesn't really feel like that. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but that's how I think. So subscribe to the channel, ring the bell icon to be alerted to all new content. I'm usually here every evening at 9:15, but I am doing lives in the daytime now around 2:15, 2:35. So if you're available for the morning and not the night, we understand. But I'll see you guys all later. Thank you guys so much again for being here with me. Sweet dreams. Have a wonderful day tomorrow. And I hope you guys all have a great night. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out.